In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how I was able to generate over 1,300 booked jobs for one of my local service clients by using Meta's new machine learning system called Andromeda. So I'll take you step by step through how we were able to do it. And the thing here is that this strategy that I'm about to share with you is something that I haven't really seen anybody else talk about. There's a lot of different ways to generate leads, but this specific method here is something that we stumble across. And we found this method to be extremely effective for local service businesses that needs to generate leads in a local area. And we've now actually proved that this works not just for this business, but now we have 2 more clients that we've been able to scale using this same method. And I call this method the local demand flywheel system. And just to give you some proof, of course, I might be a random stranger on the internet so far if you don't know me already. So it's just to show you some proof that we actually were able to generate these results. These are some of the campaigns that we ran for them in one of their ad accounts. They're also running with a couple of other ad accounts for different demographic areas. But as you can see here, this is the amount we've spent on these campaigns. You can see the top one here, more than 241K spent so far this year. Today it's October 24th. And as you can see, we have more than 1,000 leads tracked to Meta. Obviously, not all of the leads are going to be tracked and attributed directly to Meta ads or Facebook ads because some of it happens offline. Some people also see the ads, but then later on they come through Google, but the first touch point was through Facebook ads. Point being, the tracking isn't 100%. And if you run ads, you know that this is very normal, but that's just how it is. Also, as you can see in the back end in Go High Level, which is the CRM tool that we're using for them, you can see that we've generated almost 12,000 opportunities so far. And that just means leads coming from different sources and a bunch of these leads actually being qualified and then also a bunch of them actually converting into booked jobs. Now we also track everything on the back end to make sure that we have a complete overview over the actual numbers that we're getting in. So with this method, so far this year, we booked over 1,300 jobs that created 3.5 million in revenue and with a return on ad spend of 15.8. That means for every dollar we spend on ads, we generate back in revenue $15.8. In other words, if you spend $100 on ads, we generate back $1,580 in revenue. So that's just to give you an indication of the profitability here with this method that I'm about to show you. Now, in theory, this method that I'm about to share with you isn't super complex, but it is very hard to execute it properly and actually make it to work. So it's very important that you stick for all of the different 5 pillars that play into how you can actually make this method work for you. So number 1 is the signal effect. Number 2 is building trust or reputation. Number 3 is strike when the lead is hot. And this number 3 is extremely important. If you don't nail this one, then all the other steps doesn't really matter. Number 4 is using a tiered ankle psychology pricing strategy. So we'll get into that. That is also really, really key with this method. And then number 5 is the conversion engine itself. So looking at SEO and Google ads and those things. So if this confused you, don't worry. These are just the names of the different pillars. I will get very practical and actually simplify all of this for you so you can actually walk away from this video with full clarity and feeling that you will be able to actually execute this on your own. So number 1 is what I call the signal effect. And this is the actual ads that we're running on Facebook and Instagram. And it's very important that we use 3 different formats to get results on Facebook and Instagram. So number 1 is we want to show ads that show the process of your service. So our clients in this case are doing a home improvement service. So they're actually going out to people and building attic storage in people's roofs above their garages. And sometimes they also do restoration of an old attic and they install ladders as well. So they get people to take advantage of their existing storage and actually use it so they can declare all of the clutter in the garage and all the clutter that stores up in your house over the years. So it's very important for us here to show the transformation and the process. So as you can see on the left side, we have a before picture, right? So let me zoom in a little bit here. And then on the right side, we have an after picture. And then we have a clear, bold statement that is very, very simple. And this is proven to work the best, but it's not the only thing that you need to run with. What we also need to run with is a video ad that actually shows the process because video ads are way better at building trust. And some of the best video ads that we run with is usually someone from the team itself being out on a job, explaining the process of how they do it with some B-roll of actually showing, as he's speaking about how to do it, showing the process of doing it. And this builds trust because number 1, you can actually see the transformation. Number 2, you can see the people behind the company itself. So you kind of have a feeling of who would come out and help you with the service. And number three, you have a lot of proof, right? Because you can use this B-roll from different jobs that you've been out on. You can show multiple different transformations, and that will build a lot of trust in a short amount of time because you can make this all compact into one video. Now, another format that works extremely well is actually a first-person testimonial format. So actually having somebody that you helped talk about the experience of before, like the problems they were facing. So in our case, like all the clutter they had in their home and how horrible it was to have to pay for these storage facilities that they have to drive to and pay money for every year, versus now having all of their stuff in their home and being able to store it nice and tidy up over the garage or in the roof somewhere. Now, this type of video format works extremely well because it builds so much trust. And trust is one of the key things. As soon as we effectively communicate the value of the service and then we build trust, then everything is going to be extremely effective. It doesn't need to be more complex than that. So when you have all of these videos and you have these before and after images, what do you do? The next thing you need to do is tap into Meta's Andromeda, their new machine learning system, because the way it works today is very different from what it has been in the past. We're no longer looking for one winning ad. We're looking for a combination of different ads, all active in the same campaign at the same time, so that we can use Meta's machine learning system to be able to understand which ad to show to which person at which time. So the machine learning system is so powerful right now, and it's so smart and so sophisticated that if you give it all of these assets, it understands what people need to see the video first versus what type of people need to see the pictures first, and at what timing they need to see it, and how many of these different active ads they need to see. So Meta can kind of build out the funnel for you, personalize it to every user on Facebook and Instagram, understanding what ad to show at what time and at what frequency as well. So let me quickly show you how to actually set up this campaign. So I'm now inside one of my example ad accounts, and I'm just using this to show you an example of how to actually set up this campaign to be able to tap into Meta's new machine learning system, Andromeda. First and foremost, we go to create. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to create a leads campaign. So click leads, continue. Now, by default, as you can see here, Meta will now use Advantage Plus leads campaign. That's totally okay. Click OK, and then we start setting it up. So I want you to keep the budget on the campaign level. Then we're going to set the campaign bid strategy to highest volume. It's already by default set to highest volume. So we can now click next. Now here's the thing that is key to this strategy. When we go to conversion location, instead of having website and instant forms, so instead of having people go to your website or fill out a form on Facebook and Instagram, what we want to do is we want to start conversations with these leads, because a lot of them aren't going to be ready yet to fill out a form. And quite frankly, most people these days don't like to fill out forms. It's not personal. And unless people are really, really in need of this service, they're not going to go through and fill out a form. There's a lot of friction to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to select Messenger. Now, and then under performance goal, make sure you select maximize number of leads, because the key thing here is that we don't just want to optimize for starting conversations. We want to optimize for starting conversations with people that actually turn into a qualified lead. So I'll get back to how we can actually integrate this setup with our CRM to make sure that every time we have a qualified lead and a conversion, that we push that data back to Meta. Now, next you go down to audience, and here it's very important that we actually limit the targeting to the location that we're actually servicing. So here you actually have to go down and you have to go to further limit the reach of your ads, switch setup, and then now we can actually go ahead and make sure that we're not targeting people outside of who we want to target. So go to location, put in your location, and by doing it this way, now Meta is not going to go outside of that location. So it's very important that you switch that setup, because if you go with the recommended setup, as you can see here, you can see that we'll reach people beyond these settings when it's likely to improve performance. But that's not what we want, okay? We really want to make sure that we only target the area that we're servicing. So for local service ads or local businesses in general, this is very, very important. So again, go back, switch setup, and make sure you have your location selected properly here. Next, you have to select the placements that we will allow for these ads to be shown. Now, here's the important part. A lot of these placements are not going to be relevant for us, and we want to prioritize the quality placements. Because we're looking to start conversations with people, it's very important that we select quality placements so that people don't tap the ads and accidentally start a conversation with us, because that's going to make the algorithm optimize in the wrong way initially. So go to placement controls. Then make sure you have feeds ticked on, but then for in-stream ads for Reels, turn this one off, and make sure that search results are turned off and apps and sites are also turned off, and make sure that this thing here is not ticked. Okay, we don't want to allow Meta to go beyond these placements. Now we want to click next, and we want to actually set up the ad itself. I've already shown you the type of formats that you should run with. So the type of media, so a video showing the transformation or pictures that show before and after. This is what's going to work the best, as well as testimonial videos and testimonial pictures of people's reviews. Now, I'm not going to show you exactly how to set up the creative, but I'm going to show you one important aspect here, and that is setting up the message template, okay? So what we want to do here, so I'll actually show you how you can create one. You can create a couple of starting questions that you ask when people start a conversation with you. And this is just to initially qualify leads. So if people are not answering properly, and if they answer it in the wrong way or whatever, then you can kind of understand that this isn't a lead you should spend your time working on, right? So you can automatically have a couple of qualifying questions, kind of similar to what you would have with a lead form, right? In the lead form, you have like a couple of fields that people need to fill out. And here you have pretty much the same thing, but it's just like a message that you send them, and then they reply, and then you send another message to make sure that you gather that same information that you would through a lead form. Then once they've completed those messages and they've actually, answered those, then you can automatically send a message that, hey, one of our team members or one of our representatives will help you out. And then the message will go cold until you actually go in and start working the lead. And the time it takes from the leads coming in to you actually going in and following up with them, that's extremely important. And that taps into the next pillar, which is strike while the lead is hot. So after this automated introduction is coming through, you can also set up further automations. For example, you can immediately send like a video, like introduction video that kind of talks them to the process. And we've tested this with our client, and that worked extremely well. And what we did, we just immediately, as the lead came in, we sent them an introduction video from the owner of the business that kind of talked them through the process, showed them some examples. That just builds that initial trust. And getting this video sent to you in the DM feels more personal as well. So it was way easier to work the leads after they have all of this context and understanding of what the service involves and what the process actually looks like and how long it takes and all those questions that people have, right? So by having this introduction video, you're able to like tick off so many of these concerns and questions that these leads have, and that worked extremely well. So I can highly recommend sending that introduction video automatically after they answer those qualifying questions. Now, at step 4 here, it's very important though that the human follow-up happens fairly quickly after the lead comes in. So ideally within an hour. So what we have is we have VAs that actually answer the leads when they come in. They've been trained on the process and normal questions that people have and how to answer them. And then when they're ready to receive the offer, which can happen pretty quickly, but it might also happen further out in the conversation. It just depends on like the questions that people come in with. But the next step there is actually being smart about how you present your prices, right? So the best way we found to actually close the leads through the DMs is by sending over a really simple package pricing with tiered ankle pricing psychology built into it. So we will have a premium offer, and the point with the premium offer, and this is the one that we send first when they're ready to receive an offer, is that this isn't really something that we plan to sell a lot of. What we want to use here is just to have a really, really high number, that this is like the premium, the best thing you can possibly get. It has a lot of extra added to the service. And the point there is to kind of just shock them with a really, really high number, okay? And the point isn't to sell this. This is very key. We don't need to sell this. We just need to use it as an anchor, because as soon as they see this price and then we send the standard offer, which is the one that we actually want to sell, then it's way more likely that they actually will convert on this one, because now this number, just by comparison to the premium offer, looks a lot less. And this is totally ethical, because you will add a lot of extras to this premium offer and you're totally free to price it however you want. So there's nothing unethical about doing this. So if we look at Apple, they're actually also doing this, and these guys are really, really testing pricing strategy. If you go in and actually have a look at their new phone, the iPhone 17 Pro, you can select 2 terabyte, right, of storage on your phone. And I don't even know who really needs 2 terabytes on their phone. I mean, I'm making a lot of content myself and run a business, and I really don't need 2 terabyte. It would be a nice to have, but it's definitely not necessary. But when I go to the website and I look at this price point, like 2,500 or 499, and then I look at the 512 gigabyte or the 256 gigabyte, which is actually more than enough. I don't need more than that. I still get most of the benefits, right? I get the camera, I get everything else. I just don't get all of that storage. So it just makes the price for these other options look way more affordable in comparison. And that's the key here. It's very important that you structure these packages in a way that kind of makes them be able to get all of the things that they want with the standard offer. But with the premium offer, they can get something that they don't necessarily need based on the marketing and the transformations they've seen. Like they don't need this to fulfill that desire that they've gotten from your marketing, but it would be a nice to have. So of course, at some point, some people are going to convert at your premium offer, which is going to be very nice for you because you probably have a crazy good margin on that. But most people are going to go with the standard one. Now, we also want to have an economy offer, right? Because we want to have something for the people that always selects the cheapest. And when you look at the market, there's always going to be the people that select the cheapest, which is, the majority of the market. And then you have a few percentage of people that select the best they can possibly get. We just want to make sure that we also have an economy offer, because here, for the people that look at the economy offer, the cheapest option, they look at it and they think, if I just pay a little bit more. So in this case, if I just pay $300 more, I can get the standard offer. And it's very important that you have the economy offer have some things that they actually might want, but they need to get the standard offer to get that, right? So how to kind of package your pricing is extremely important, because if this is too complex and it's hard for them to understand what they get and the differences between the different packages, then you're going to lose them. Okay, this needs to be super simple, and you need to make sure that you structure this brochure or this PDF that you send over to them in a way that is so simple that they can understand it within 1 minute, 30 seconds, okay? And you don't want to make them think too much, because that's going to create friction and that's drastically going to hurt your conversion rate. Now, lastly, pillar number 5 is the actual conversion engine, right? So on Google, we need to be visible and we need to be present. And on the website, we need an infrastructure that is very good at building trust and closing the leads that come in through the website as well. Because what will happen when we start scaling and spending a lot of money on ads on social media is that more people will see you, and they will not be ready to go in and explore your offers right away. So they will see your ads, they will not do anything, they will not click any call to action, but they will still notice your ads. And then when they're ready for your service, whatever that is, because something happens in their life and they remember what they just saw like a couple hours before in this ad, and that's perfect for what they now understand that they need because of whatever happened in their life. Maybe they just went into the garage and tried to look for something and it's just a mess, right? And then they understand, oh, I saw this company that does this attic restoration or attic storage builds. That would be perfect for us, actually. Let me go and explore that. Now, they don't have the ad in front of them anymore. So what they will do is they will go into Google and search for what they saw. So they will either remember the name of the business, of your business, and they will search for your brand name, or they will search for this type of service that you do, so the name of the service in that local area that you're in, right? So for these keywords, so for example, attic restoration in Florida, for example, that's one of the clients we have in Florida. For attic restoration Florida, it's very important that we appear on the very, very top. And to achieve that, you can have SEO, but a quicker way to actually get on top there is to actually just run ads on those keywords and pay money to make sure that you appear on the top. Now, the money that you spend on those ads are usually going to have a very good return, unless there's a lot of competition for those keywords, which for some industries there will definitely be. But for some businesses, this is one of those ads that you set up and you immediately see a pretty good return on investment, because the people that search for this, they're already ready to buy, right? So they just come in and they book a job right away, as long as you actually build a trust and you're able to convert them with your website. So the next step there is actually having a website that has a lot of reviews, a lot of testimonials, a lot of before after pictures, ideally a VSL, like a video sales letter on the top that just quickly presents your service and transformations that you've done, and just really effectively sells your service and builds that trust and credibility. Now, right under that video, I would have the lead form itself, but also you want to make sure that you have a chat bubble that pops up when people go to your website and incentivizes them to go and chat with you. So when they land on your website, they see the video, but they also in the corner, they see this bubble, this chat bubble pop up where it says, do you have any questions? Or are you looking for a quote, whatever, right? Something that kind of like incentivizes them to click that bubble and start to chat with you through your website. Now, this is working extremely well because, again, people don't like to fill out forms. It's way more personal to just go in and chat instead of having to fill out form, because nobody likes filling out forms. We actually did this for our client the other day. And as soon as we integrated this chat bubble on their website, they had a lead come in immediately and they closed it the next day. So it's crazy like how much more effective the chat conversion funnel is than just a lead form. And the more entry points you have into your funnel, like a lead form, a chat here, a chat on Messenger, the more leads you're going to get in, because they can come in from more sources, and that just results in more leads coming in. So definitely add that. Make sure you have a strong headline, and make sure you integrate your CRM. So we use Go High Level for our clients, and regardless of wherever the leads comes from, if it's a Facebook chat, an Instagram chat, a WhatsApp chat, the website itself, the lead form on the website, the chat bubble on the website, everything goes into the same CRM. So it's very easy for either the VA or the sales team in the business to follow up with every lead and work the lead as they come in. So that's very, very important. Now, another extremely important thing that I'm going to show you on my laptop here is the automation that we've set up to make sure that every time a lead that comes in from social media or Google or whatever source it is, when it comes in and it turns into a qualified lead, so let's say the VA that we have or somebody from the sales team chats with them and he or she sees that this lead is qualified, the next step is to actually make sure you tag that lead as a qualified lead, and that will trigger an automation in the CRM. So what we've set up here is an automation that immediately then takes this data from this lead, pushes it back to Meta, so Facebook, and it tells Facebook, hey, this lead is very good. We want more of this lead, okay? Because this one is qualified. Go and get us more of this lead. And it also allows you to be able to see which ad that brought in this lead. So you can optimize and create more ads that convert more leads, right? Because now you actually have this data available to you in the ads manager. So this setup here is very important. I'm not going to go through and show you how to set this up. It's very, very technical. But yeah, it's very, very essential to set this up, because this will essentially allow you to optimize for qualified leads and leads that actually convert into customers versus just optimizing for people that start conversations with you, because that's not going to lead you anywhere. Now, when you have set up all of this, this is when you tap into the compounding flywheel effect. So you're creating strategic ads, as we discussed in the beginning of this video. You create before, after pictures, transformation videos, testimonial videos, those things. Then that will allow you to capture and qualify leads through DMs. You will track those leads. You will push that data back to the platform, and the platform gets smarter and starts learning. You get improved targeting. So you start to target the type of people that are more likely to turn into a qualified lead and an actual book job. You get more jobs. And then when you get more jobs, you get more data to understand which type of ads are converting. And then you make more strategic ads based off that data. And you do that again and again and again. And another thing that will start to happen is that when you're doing jobs, you want to incentivize getting reviews. And when you start really building out your reviews, which is one of the most essential steps of this whole process, is actually getting those reviews in, because that is going to be so important to be able to actually book in jobs. Because one of the things that could turn into a problem is that you're doing all of this advertising on social, but then you have a competitor that has more credibility and more Google reviews in your area. Then what's going to happen is you're likely going to lose a lot of the demand that you build up with your money to your competitors, which is not ideal. So make sure that you have a strong incentive for either yourself or your team members when you're out on the job to actually get people to leave reviews. That is so essential, and I cannot stress it enough. You want to incentivize it while you're there just finishing the job in person, but you also want to send like an automated follow-up through SMS or email to make sure that you incentivize people and remind them to go in and fill out the review for you, because that is so important. Now, hopefully you find this video valuable. If you have any questions, just leave a comment down below. I answer each and every question from my subscribers, so make sure you subscribe as well. And if you're interested in working with us and having us actually help you build this out and actually create weekly ads for you that are able to get you these qualified leads and also set up the backend workflow to actually make this whole strategy work for you, then you can book a call with me with the link in the description below. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I wish you a great day ahead, and I'll see you in the next video.